Welcome, SENS Talk.
Here comes Tampa with a pass across to the stars. He bats it in. Tim Stutzler wins it for Ottawa. Triple Grant is going to put the finishing touches on an Ottawa win. See you later. Go SENS go.
Welcome to SENS Talk. My name is Brandon Plant, and I am your host tonight. The Ottawa Senators took on the Tampa Bay Lightning in a pivotal matchup as the two teams are separated by just 4 points. And yeah, as you probably know, tonight and on Thursday, these teams face off against one another. So in other words, this is like a mini playoff series. If Tampa wins both these games, the playoff picture for Ottawa suddenly becomes much more complicated. But if the Ottawa Senators win at least one, but especially if they win two out of these two games, the playoff picture becomes a lot more easy to take a look at. Now, going into tonight's game, it's Linus Ullmark starting for your Ottawa Senators. His first start in the year of 2025. It's been over a month and a half or so. His last start was there in late December against the Edmonton Oilers. He only played that first period, which started the Levy Maryland Sanity run, of course. Great to see Linus Ullmark back. And for the Tampa Bay Lightning, it's Andrei Vasilevskiy, who surprisingly doesn't have a great record against Ottawa. Actually, some of his numbers against Ottawa are some of the worst he has against an individual team in his NHL career, a below 900 save percentage, for example. So for one of the best goaltenders in the National Hockey League, that's quite interesting. So definitely a good goaltending matchup, but maybe low-key a favorable matchup there for Ottawa. Well, speaking of the matchup, a couple lineup notes. Firstly, Nick Jensen is back in the lineup, which is great to see. What's not great to see is Nikolas Matinpalo drawing out. Travis Hamonic stays in the lineup in, presumably, Matinpalo's place. So we'll talk about this in the game notes. I have some stuff to say about that. But all I'll say right now is, what we know is Travis Green is not the only one that makes these calls. We've heard Steve Staios before in press conferences say that it's a team decision for these lineup choices. It's not just Travis Green. So I'm not going to just be critical on the coach, but I don't understand why we continue to play Travis Hamonic over defensemen like Matinpalo or defensemen like Jacob Bernard-Docker, who in both of their, situations were playing better than Hamonic, but both got beat up by Hamonic. Now, I know that Hamonic is a veteran, and he's a fine seventh defenseman, I guess. But at the same time, he doesn't give you the best chance to win on most nights compared to, again, Matinpalo or JBD when he was healthy. Matinpalo especially has looked great as of late, so that's a bit of a slap in the face, to be honest with you, because he's come up on short notice, stepped in a tough situation. We had a couple guys out, basically had to fill some big shoes there, and filled them flawlessly and put himself really on the NHL radar. I mean, he was getting looks for Team Finland at the Four Nations tournament, for goodness sake. So I really don't understand that decision. But anyways, I'll save the rest of that for after the game. Now, going to this game, Ottawa has won 5 in a row. They're looking to make it 6 in a row. And in those 5 games, Ottawa has outscored opponents 21-8 in their last 5. So pretty good, not too shabby whatsoever. And Ottawa, by the way, in 2025 is 8-0 when scoring just a goal. Just one. If you score a goal and you're playing for the Ottawa Senators, pretty good chance you win this year. Now, the Sens are, like I mentioned before, 4 points ahead of Tampa Bay in the playoff race, so for third in the division. This is like a mini playoff series. We got to win at least one out of these two. Split the series. Now, Ottawa is on a back-to-back. They played Nashville yesterday in Nashville, so a quick turnaround where you're going from Tennessee right to Florida, less than 24 hours between games. That's a tough turnaround. Ottawa, though, in these tough situations, in the second game of a back-to-back this year, 6-3-1. So again, this team knows how to battle through adversity. They've done it before. Let's just see if they can do it again. Obviously, we think they can. Now, multiple Senators going to this game have 5-game point streaks. Claude Giroux going to this game, 6 points, 1 goal. Shane Pinto, 6 points, 3 goals. Jake Sanderson, 3 goals, 9 points total. And Tim Stützle, Himothy, 8 points, 2 of which were goals, all of which were in 5 straight games. So Ottawa is firing on all cylinders, but we don't see that early on. It's the Tampa Bay Lightning who are firing on all cylinders. After 10 minutes of play, they lead in shots 10-1, and you can tell Tampa Bay is in a tough spot. Going into this game, they're on the outside of a playoff spot looking in. Ottawa, of course, is just ahead of them for those final divisional spots. They need at least a win out of one of these 2 games, and they're playing like their lives depend on it. And frankly, not necessarily they do, but but in a way they do. I mean, it would be really tough for them to climb out of this hole if they lose. They'd be back 6 points from Ottawa with a loss today. But, I have some really distressing news, to be honest with you. You probably saw it in the thumbnail. Shane Pinto takes a hit, and, he did not return. There is some good news out of this. It wasn't the same shoulder where he had surgery and a massive injury on before. That was the right shoulder. This seemed to be the left shoulder, left arm area. Still not great. He didn't return, obviously, but you can take a bit of solace knowing the fact that at least it wasn't in the same spot where he's had issues before. Hopefully it's just a stinger, or at the worst case, he misses the next couple of games, but will be back at least after the Four Nations tournament. And Pinto's been unreal as of late. Like I just said, 5 games in a row with a point for him. 12 points in his last 13 games, including 5 goals. He has stepped up in a big way, and this is a massive loss for the Ottawa Senators, who are already, down a man with Josh Norris out as well for the next couple of games here. So Ottawa now is missing their number 2 and number 3 centers, and frankly, some of the biggest games of the year. It's a really tough spot for Ottawa, but as we all know, the Ottawa Senators know how to battle back in the face of adversity and find ways to win, find ways to battle through, and they do so here with 5 minutes left in the first period of play. It's a Mia Amadio, 1-0 Ottawa. He jams home the loose puck after Vasilevsky tries to poke it away. That is Amadio's 4th of the year, his 2nd in the last 3 games to make it 1-0 Senators off the power play goal. Ottawa now has 42 power play goals on the year, which is tied for 3rd in the National Hockey League. And again, a massive goal there for Amadio, who steps up in a big way. Perron also gets an assist on this goal. That's 4 points in his last couple games for David Perron. But for Amadio and Perron, with guys like, again, Norris and now Pinto out, those are the type of guys who really need to step up in a big way and start producing offensively to fill that void. They do so here as Ottawa leads by 1 after 20 minutes of play. Ottawa, when scoring first, 22-3-0. Best in the National Hockey League, better than the Winnipeg Jets, an unreal team. Of course, they're in the West. So things are looking good. Things are looking up for Ottawa. But just 2 minutes into the second period of play, this is a tough one. Glendening, the 4th line for the Tampa Bay Lightning, strikes. Literally, the Bolts strike. It's a tie game at 1. A great tip right off the ice. I mean, right along the ice, just in the middle of the hash marks or so. Osipchuk needs to do a little better there to tie him up and get on him there, lift his stick if anything. He doesn't. He lets them roam alone, and Glendening takes a full advantage of that off a nice pass to tie things up at 1-1. And Tampa would continue their momentum after that. 6 minutes later, with about 12 minutes left in the second period of play, the Lightning would capitalize on another power play. They got a lot of power plays tonight. My goodness. Way too many power plays. And eventually, a team like the Lightning with elite talent are going to make you pay, and they do here. Kucherov lets one rip glove side on the power play to give the Lightning the lead for the first time. It's 2-1 Tampa Bay, and this is a tough goal. I'm not blaming Linus Ullmark. It's a tough goal purely because it's kind of like Laine or Ovechkin. You know where this guy's going to shoot. He shoots it from there nearly every single night, and they still find ways to score, and they leave him open. I never understand how that happens, again, with the other guys too, like Laine and Ovi and stuff. It's always funny to see, but again, a great shot there for Kucherov to give Tampa Bay the 1-goal lead, but not for long. 2 minutes later, it's the Clotfather, 2-2. Claude Giroux ties it up with a nice shot through a screen to extend his point streak to 6 games. Same thing as well for Tim Stützle, who gets an assist on this goal, and Ottawa ties it at 2 halfway through the game here. And as well, in that 6-game point streak, Giroux has 9 points, 2 goals, and on this goal has tied for 66 all-time in the National Hockey League for points. Congratulations to Claude Giroux, the future Hall of Famer. We are watching history here, ladies and gentlemen. An all-star first ballot Hall of Fame talent for your Ottawa Senators, putting up historic numbers. Moments later, in the final few minutes, Batherson again. I mean, this guy is a merchant for goals that don't count. He scores, but it's goaltender interference. Unlike last night, this one makes a bit of sense. Probably shouldn't have counted. Probably the right call, as Ottawa does get a goal, but not a second one here, as they are tied with Tampa after 40 minutes of play. So we go to the third period of play, and just like the second period, it's an early goal for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and this one, unlike in the second period, will sink Ottawa. 2 minutes into the third period of play, I don't know what the third pairing is doing here. I spoke about it briefly with Matinpalo and Clevin, being replaced by Hamonic and Clevin. I mean, I don't know what they're doing on this play here. They let Hagel walk in, and he rips it top shelf, glove side past Linus Ullmark to give the Tampa Bay Lightning the lead right back to make it 3-2 Tampa. Clevin and Hamnick let him walk in right through the middle. If you watch the replay, it kind of looks like Hamnick is backing up and pushing to the side a bit to take off a pass, but I mean, again, you're letting a guy walk right in. Don't worry about the pass. Worry about the shot there. You know, you're screening the goalie if anything. So that was just a rough play all around. They let them walk in, and then, of course, we're screening the goalie at the same time. So you're literally doing nothing there but hurting your chances of stopping a goal, which is exactly what happened. Now, it would take 10 minutes in that third period of play for Ottawa to even register a shot. They would, and it would be a dandy of a shot on the 2-1. Cole Reinhardt to Claude Giroux, but he's robbed by Vasilevsky. This was a great save by Vasilevsky. Do not get me wrong. However, Claude Giroux needs better shot selection there. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. He had like a wide open cage and he shot it in like the 1/3 of the net that was covered by the goaltender. So a split-second decision. So I don't want to be too harsh on Giroux, especially considering the fact he had a huge goal for us already in this game. However, you definitely want a goal there, especially when you're struggling to even generate shots. They get an opportunity like that in such a pivotal game. You definitely want to bury that one. But again, 9 points in his last 6 games, right? So I won't be too harsh on the Clodfather. As Ottawa would continue the push, would get a power play in the final few minutes, but it wouldn't be enough. Ottawa would allow an empty net goal to make it 4-2 in the final 90 seconds or so. Ottawa would score with about 80, 70 seconds left. Drake Batherson with a goal here. He's suddenly hot. Rips it blocker side to make it a 1-goal game again, which was nice. I mean, that was a great goal there for Batherson, and it was great to see Ottawa with some life there late in the game. They were not going down without a fight, but unfortunately, it was too little too late as the Tampa Bay Lightning hold on to take down the Ottawa Senators by a score of 4-3, as Ottawa's 5-game winning streak comes to an end, as the Tampa Bay Lightning get a massive victory, putting themselves back into a playoff spot, first in the wild card race, just 2 points behind Ottawa for third in the Atlantic Division. Tonight, Linus Ullmark stopped 34 of 37. I can't blame him on, frankly, any of those goals. And I think, especially early on in that first bit of play, when he was getting peppered with shots, he made some big stops then. He made some big stops throughout the game. He had a fantastic night. And especially considering this was his first game action in almost 2 months, I was a little worried about what to expect from Linus Ullmark. Yes, he's a world-class goaltender, elite goaltender, top 10 goaltender, but rust is a thing. He's still human, so it was great to see Ullmark bounce back in such a big way. But other than that, Ottawa really didn't do too well. No one really stood out to me. I mean, it was great to see Stützle, Sanderson, Giroux extend their point streaks to 6 straight games. Sanderson, by the way, had 4 blocks tonight, which is nice. He had a key block there in the third period as well. But again, it was too little too late. I'm not going to be too harsh on Ottawa because, frankly, you expected Tampa Bay to win one of these two and probably would have been this game. Again, tough back-to-back situation. Yeah, Ottawa's won 6 out of 10 of those back-to-backs this year, which is pretty good. One of the best records in the National Hockey League this year in terms of that stat. However, you're playing a quick turnaround, less than 24 hours between games, and you're traveling from Tennessee to Florida. That's a tough long trip there. So, especially on short notice and short sleep. So a lot of excuses to go around for this game. At the end of the day, they won 5 in a row before tonight's loss. And even in a game where they didn't deserve the win, which they didn't deserve the win today, Tampa Bay was definitely the better team. They showed some life. They showed that they were in it. They showed that they had a chance to win. And that's all you can ask for, especially in a game where your team doesn't perform as well as they can. And that's going to happen. That's going to happen. Don't be upset about this loss. Be upset about a potential loss on Thursday. If we lose that game on Thursday and suddenly find ourselves potentially outside of a playoff spot after being up by a few points in a divisional spot, then you should be mad. Now, a couple of last notes. Tyler Clevin and Travis Hamonic, they struggled mightily tonight. Their 5-on-5 Corsi 4 percentage was 41.18%, which means by a vast majority of the time when they were on the ice, they were getting hemmed in their own zone. They didn't have possession of the puck. They were also on the ice for 2 goals against and no goals for, so -2. Little -2 for the boys. That was just not great to see. The loss is not only on them. I just want to say that right now. But that being said, they were not great, and especially when Clevin and Matinpalo looked so great together. I mean, they look great together this last little stretch. People are going to really point at that and be like, well, in a loss, maybe that was a difference maker, right? And you could definitely argue again that goal there where they let Hagel walk in, Sure, you could say they were trying to intercept a pass, but they were still screening the goalie at the minimum there. It was just a terrible execution there by both, to be fair, not just Hamnick. So we'll see what happens with that on Thursday. I think there's a chance Matinpalo goes back into the lineup. He has looked really, really good. And, he's certainly earned a longer look and certainly a longer leash, I should say, to start NHL games. But we'll see what happens with that as Ottawa takes on Tampa Bay again for the second game of this back-to-back, I guess you could call it, on Thursday against Tampa in Tampa. So the boys get a nice little beach date tomorrow. We don't hear, unfortunately, here in Ottawa, but they do. That's the luxury of being a National Hockey League player. Now, with that, I'll see you all on Thursday, hopefully, for SENS win. But besides that, thank you all for watching. I appreciate your support. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, as always. And I'll see you all soon. Go SENS, go.